The Southwestern Ontario Gleaners is a nonprofit organization that with the help of many volunteers, takes unmarketable produce and makes it into a nutritious soup mix. And I have some behind me. I did show this last week. We had a special presentation last week, and well, it was our annual meeting. That was special. And but there's something about it I want to share with you. A year ago, the Gleaners were here. Tina was here, along with a friend of hers, talking about the future of the Gleaners. Well, the future now is here, and they are now in full production. And I got a container of this, of which I made some soup last week. If some of you were here, you might have tasted it. It says on the very top, in red, it says, "Donated with love by volunteers and farmers from southwestern Ontario, Canada. May God bless the recipients of this product." So this was the one that we got last week. The one that we didn't get, which would have been great for dessert, were freeze-dried apples. Now, these are so good. How good, you might ask? Well, if you come down for coffee hour, you might just find out. There is a booth set up or a display set up on one of the tables, and these will be available. And if you hear me crunching in the background during the rest of the service, you know what I'm doing. They have been in production since August of 2014 and have processed over 1 million servings of soup. The soup is being distributed to schools, food banks, and they just started shipping overseas this past week. Tina Quiring is here today to tell us about the amazing work that's going on in our community. So at this time, I'd like to invite Tina up. And at the end of I'm not sure at the end of the presentation, at the end of the day, we did have a small collection with we have a Love Bucket fund that goes around. Last week, for some reason, there wasn't many people around. And so it was a little bit shy, but down at the bottom, we have a small check for the Gleaners, and you can take this back with you. And we hope there'll be many more to come over time. So I present to you now Tina Quiring, who's going to do a presentation on the Southwestern Ontario Gleaners. Here's my stuff. There you go.
Thank you, Danny. Great sales job. Wow, what an awesome place to be this morning. What a joyous place to be. It's so wonderful to hear the children singing and playing instruments, and Reverend Frank, I love your energy. No wonder these people show up here to play with you on Sunday mornings. It's great to be here. There must be some very dedicated and caring people in Harrow, because we have been invited to speak at almost every single church. And this is the first that has invited us back. So I'm very honored to be here this morning to share with you of the wonderful progress that we have made. And the donation that may not seem like a lot, as Danny kind of referred to, actually is 2,500 servings of soup. So it's a huge thing. It may not be a lot for us here, but $128 makes over 2,500 servings of soup. So it is, for the recipient, it's a big deal. Anyway, Southwestern Ontario is one of the most prosperous places on earth, and a lot of our prosperity comes from vegetables. We grow vegetables in our fields and in our greenhouses, and we also import millions of pounds of vegetables each year. Not all the produce that is grown is marketable. Sometimes it's too big or too small, has a blemish, or it might get damaged in transportation. Often, this unmarketable produce is dumped by the truckload into our landfills. Next. There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Danny. There are millions of people that can greatly benefit from our unmarketable produce. There are currently over 51 million refugees in the world and over 200 million orphans. These people have no resources to make a living. And when there isn't enough food, it is the old, the sick, and the children that go hungry. Last year, over 15 million people passed away from hunger and hunger-related diseases. Over 10 million of those were children. Recently, we have become aware of great needs in our own communities as well. As many as 1 in 7 children in Essex counties now lives in poverty. That is not acceptable. We have to do better for our children. Many children do not get enough fruits and vegetables, even though we have so much abundance here. With 7 billion people on the planet, we simply cannot continue to waste food in the future like we have been doing in the past. It is with this in mind that a group of local citizens have come together to create Southwestern Ontario Gleaners. Gleaning is a biblical term. In Leviticus 19, verse 9 and 10, God told the farmers to leave some fruits and vegetables at the edge of the fields for the poor and the foreigners. And we are inspired by God's mandate to feed the hungry. Gleaning is not a new concept. There are several very successful gleaning operations already. Fraser Valley Gleaners in British Columbia in 2013 recorded 51,000 volunteer hours. Those volunteers processed over 900 tons of unmarketable produce, and they created over 12 million servings of soup. The Cambridge Christian Gleaners started fundraising in 2004. They were established in 2008, and in 2013, they created over 7 million servings of soup. Imagine the possibilities of what we can do with all the resources that we have right here in our community. We have many very successful and generous business owners. We have a great number of people that are now retiring in their 50s, and they have time and skills to share. And of course, we have lots of vegetables. Farmers now pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to dispose of their unmarketable produce. In fact, last year, one farmer alone spent over $200,000 to dump unmarketable produce. That is almost enough for our entire budget for a year. As of November 5th, 2013, the Local Food Act was passed at Queen's Park, which means that now farmers can be receipted for their donations. With so many people now taking early retirement, we have a huge resource of young, energetic, and skilled workers to help with this project. Southwestern Ontario is not an ordinary community when it comes to volunteering. A friend of ours went to Ottawa to receive a plaque for his many years of volunteer work as a teacher. And while he was there, he discovered that not all communities volunteer equally. See, I told you Harrow was a special place. Southwestern Ontario apparently has among the highest rate of volunteers. So when it comes to working together, we do it well. There are many benefits to volunteering, but I would like to share a personal story about a young man I will call Daniel, because I really believe that gleaning and volunteering is the answer to so many of the challenges that we face in our world today. Daniel was a friend of our son Curtis, and he spent a lot of time at our house as a teenager. He came from an abusive home. He was very quiet. He would never, you couldn't have a conversation with this young man. He would always just say yes or no. He rarely smiled, never made eye contact. I was teaching Sunday school at our church, and I was taking our youth group to Toronto to do volunteer work through an organization called Tools. And I decided to take our son Curtis and Daniel on that trip. We worked at a homeless shelter, a soup kitchen, a thrift shop, but our best work was done at a place called St. Francis Table. St. Francis Table was a restaurant where the poor and the homeless could go and pay $1 to eat supper. And it was in this place that I watched Daniel come to life like I had never seen him before. He walked with a spring in his step. He had a smile on his face. He asked people about their day. He smiled and laughed. It was like he was a completely different person. I will always remember those few hours when Daniel felt like he could change this world. I love that quote by Margaret Mead. A small group of thoughtful people could change this world. It is indeed the only thing that ever has. And that is what Southwestern Ontario Gleaners is all about, change and transformation. We are transforming unmarketable produce into edible, nutritious soup mix. We are transforming lives by building nurturing relationships with our young people. We are transforming landfills by not filling them with perfectly edible produce. Refugee camps and orphanages will no longer be places of fear and hunger, but places where children are playing and laughing, adults sitting together, enjoying a bowl of nutritious soup. Today, you and I have an incredible opportunity to create that change and transformation all over the world. The progress that we have made in the last 2 years is astonishing, and the community support that we have received is far greater than we could have ever imagined. We got our charity status on January 1st, 2013. We worked for 7 months to get that with a wonderful lawyer named Peter Neufeld from Leamington. On June 1st, we took possession of a 10,000 square foot building in Leamington, Ontario, and we have leased that building for 5 years. We have purchased and paid for all the equipment that we will need to process 12 million servings of soup per year. We are currently dehydrating up to 20,000 servings a day. And we started shipping on September 26th of 2014. I believe that by working together, we can create a community that will truly be like no other in Ontario. We already know that we have the most giving and generous people in our community. Our farmers grow some of the best vegetables in all of Canada. We now have a process in place where unmarketable produce first goes to the schools and food banks. What they can't use comes to the gleaners, and what we can't use goes to our local digester. In case you weren't aware, there is a digester in our community, and it digests garbage and makes electricity. And so from our leftovers, it goes to the digester, and then what's left over from that goes into the fields as fertilizer. Our produce goes from earth to earth. This truly is an exciting time to be living in Essex County. To date, we have raised over $500,000, and we anticipate our budget to be $250,000 annually. Now I have some slides that I will just kind of explain as Danny changes the slides. So the first one, there you see a group of volunteers. They are standing and sitting by our line. There's a conveyor that takes the produce in, and then they take the blemishes and the bad stuff off, and they put it on the top conveyor, and it takes it back to go to our dicer. Next, please. That is just another picture of where the process of our long line of conveyor there. Next. That is Jim Funk. Some of you may remember he was here last time when I was here, and he was our chairperson. He had done an amazing job getting everyone together and just getting us off the ground and getting us moving. He's standing by a dicer, and that purple stuff is like cabbage, and it's just, when it comes out of the dicer, it's little, what, 3/8 size. And that is a conveyor that is taking the product up to that dryer. That dryer dehydrates over 1,000 pounds per hour. That dryer we actually were able to purchase because of a single individual from Windsor. He had never met any of us before, and he came and he took a tour, and in 15 minutes he gave us a check for $100,000. And so then we were able to order that dryer, and it came, I think January it came. So we've been using it a lot. Next. That is the million servings that are sitting in our warehouse. As some of you may have seen, last week the Windsor Star did a story on us. Our first shipment went to North Korea. Next. That was the first shipment that went to the VON. That was September 26th. Next. There is a bag. Danny showed you one already, and the shelf life in that state is many years. The produce is dehydrated to the point where it doesn't mold, and so it has a long, long shelf life. Next. And a 3-pound bag makes 100 servings of soup when it is hydrated again. Next. Now, some gleaners ship only overseas, and we have chosen, because we discovered the need in our community, we have chosen to distribute locally as well. And so that's where we have started, and we are planning on continuing to do that. We work very closely with the food bank. We work in Windsor there, Plentiful Harvest. We're also working with Forgotten Harvest. They come here regularly to pick up product to take in the States, but they drop by at our place and leave us as much as we want and can use. This could be your child or mine. Can you imagine the horror of a parent to have to witness your starving child lay down in the dirt and wait to die? This is happening every hour of every day. We, you and I, are the answer to those parents' prayers. We have the resources to help them feed their starving children. We literally hold in our hands their fragile lives. How many times and how many meals do you think these poor children have missed to have bodies like that? Imagine how many times you and I have sat down and ate as much as we wanted while these poor children went hungry. And it is a completely unnecessary tragedy. Our planet is well able to grow enough food for 10 billion people. So this injustice needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. And we are not helpless bystanders. We are a blessed people with resources that can save millions of lives. Our resources make the difference between life and death. We need to be accountable. Today, you and I have an amazing opportunity to help feed the hungry, and I believe it is our obligation to do so. Matthew 25, verse 35 says, "For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink." In verse 40, it says, "I assure you that what you have done unto the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you have done unto me." Ladies and gentlemen, these are the least. These are the hungry, the lonely, the forgotten. And they are right now waiting for life-saving food from us. When you become a member of the Gleaners, you will be notified of special events. You will receive our quarterly newsletter, and you will be able to vote at our annual meeting. And the cost is only $10. I have forms downstairs. If you are interested, please see me after. We need 35 volunteers per day, so gather up some friends and come volunteer. The hours are 8:30 till 12. And the best part is you get a nice long coffee break, and we have a big, beautiful kitchen there, and there's always people baking goodies. So you can count on some nice homemade treats while you have your coffee. It's a fun place to spend a morning. Maybe you don't have a lot of time or resources, but you might know someone that does. So please share our story with your neighbors, friends, and family. And we always need financial help as well. And we need your prayers. So please pray for our organization. In whatever way you can help, it is greatly appreciated. Our immediate goal is to share our vision with the greater community and bring awareness about the needs and the solutions. We hope to inspire many clubs, churches, businesses, and individuals to partner with us to create a community that will be an example of what is possible when people work together. Our long-term goal is to do 12 million servings per year, and inspire other communities to do the same. And it is actually happening. There's a group in Simcoe that have been coming to our place, and they are in the process of setting up a Gleaners in Simcoe. So we're very excited to be working with these people and be an inspiration and help them to get started. Vibrant and healthy communities do not just happen. They are created when caring and dedicated people work together for the good of all humankind. And that is what Southwestern Ontario Gleaners is all about. And please do not underestimate the power of $1. It costs only 5 cents to make a bowl of soup. So each dollar you donate creates 20 servings of soup. This is such a simple concept, yet it is life-changing and life-giving. Our organization is completely funded by the generosity of this community, and it is almost completely operated by volunteers. We have only 2 full-time paid staff, and all the food that is processed goes to the local schools, food banks, and charities overseas. Volunteering at the Gleaners is a wonderful way for our young people to get their volunteer hours. It's a great place for friends to work together and stay in touch with their friends and become nurturing and inspirational role models for our young people. It gives farmers an outlet for their unmarketable produce, and they can be receipted for their donation. This project truly is a blessing for our entire community. In closing, it is my hope and prayer that you can imagine yourself being part of this wonderful project, whether it is by donating funds, vegetables, or sharing of your precious time. Together, we can literally transform millions of lives. May God bless you.
I think I speak on behalf of the congregation when I say that the idea inspires, the organization inspires, and you inspire. And I would thank you for that. You truly are a blessing. You truly are. You are walking Matthew 25. You truly are. And that touches me. I was particularly encouraged by your comments around transformation, because it's a vision of this church, of everybody here in this church, that we become greater and greater disciples of Christ, both here and outside our walls, and that we show our love to others wherever they may be. And this sounds like a wonderful organization for which we are truly grateful here in Essex County, and of which we can be a part. We can be a part. So, on behalf of the congregation, I'd like to present you this small token, small giving, with a promise of many more to come.
Awesome. Thank you, Reverend
Thank you, Tina.